Hey guys, okay, it's part three of The Great Reset, brought to you by the maestro of cress dressing, Klaus Schwab. Okay, so what else is he saying in this book, this ghastly, what would you call it, tomb of his? So they're talking about police, and he's saying crime, of course, is going to drop because we're going to have total surveillance, AI, facial recognition, machines reading your thoughts before you even have a chance to contemplate a crime. Yeah, but what about crime, their crime? Because the most egregious crime is committed by those at the top. They're stealing the wealth, the resources of billions of people on this planet. And that's the crime I'm interested in. But anyway, he's saying that the cops will be able to use techniques to determine criminal activity, assess guilt, or retrieve memories with AI and biotech. So imagine going to court, and instead of just having to recount what happened, they would have already maybe made a download from your brain. But why is that even necessary? If your phone is following around, you've got a chip in you following around, surveillance everywhere, is there any scope for even having courts? They also mention crossing a border may need a brain scan to assess if you are a terrorist. Now, who's guarding the guards? I hear so much here of how we have to be controlled. Absolutely nothing about who's holding them accountable. Our controllers, right? We will even be able to make social media posts by thought. That almost already happens. I mean, you guys have always had the thing where you're discussing something, and the next thing you get a Facebook post advertising something to you about that. But often gets wrong. I mean, there was a case lately where Facebook was continually advertising chicken coops to me. Now, if there's a person in the world who's got no intention of ever being involved with the process of having a chicken coop, it's me. So, you see, they do get it totally wrong a lot of the time. Probably most of the time, if you had to know. So, the whole thing is going to change what it means, the fourth industrial revolution, which is another word for it. It's the Great Reset, it's Agenda 2030, the fourth industrial revolution, all these words for it. It'll change what it means to be human. That's probably the most, what would you say, concerning, ridiculous part of it. Words fail me. Technology will become part of us. So I guess there will be a certain group of humans who want to merge with machines. They'll be the ones living in the smart cities, basically becoming scale electric cars for the elites. And then there'll be maybe another group of us who embrace the Great Awakening and who elect to live out of the city, to live rurally, to forego many of the supposed benefits of technology and to try and live outside the system. Will they tolerate us? I suppose they think they will be ever becoming a super breed of human while we are just sort of stuck in ordinary humanity, but we might just win. Right. And they're talking about being able to manipulate gender. If you want to go back to, I did a series on the discussions by Richard Day in 1969, which were recorded. All this was discussed back in 1969, or alluded to in 1969, particularly this manipulation of gender. It's absolutely part of it. It's another attack on identity as human beings, being able to manipulate gender. I believe that there are clinics in Texas that start gender manipulation at the age of 3 years old. Now, as a friend of mine who has 3 little boys says, at that age they can't even decide what clothes they want to wear that day, effectively. 3 years old. She said you can't allow them to get dressed. They don't know what they're doing, what they want to wear, haven't got a clue. Never mind change their gender, but it can start as early as 3. Then say if it's a boy, female hormones can be introduced at age 8, and by age 15 they're ready to do gender assignment. I'm sorry, I just can't see any way that this is right, particularly as in many cases cancer drugs that are no longer used for cancer because they are failed cancer drugs are being used to block puberty, and it's also blocking brain development. How so many people are going along with this? It shocks me, really. I continually am shocked at this right now of how many people are going along with it. Now, I mean, all this garbage about Great Reset and whatever, they may be just conning us, they may be gaslighting us with this, just to get us all chasing in the wrong direction after the wrong bone. But on the other hand, a lot of stuff we know actually is happening. And so many people are going along with it. It's against common sense. It's against human instincts. Everything that wants to protect children should be saying no, 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 no. And they're going along with it. I believe a lot of this is down to money. People have mortgages, they don't want to speak out. They've got a lifestyle they want to maintain. They don't want to risk that. I mean, it's sad, isn't it? So there's talk, obviously, of cyborgs, humans merging with machines, altering the human being. They already want to do this with CRISPR, what do you call them, designer babies. Guys, I'm actually wondering, are people already some sort of clone? For example, is Elon Musk even a real person? I'm getting to the point where I ask this question. Is Mark Zuckerberg a real person? Are these actors, or are they clones? I definitely think they front men for a lot of technology and expertise behind them, but I'm beginning to wonder if they ever existed as real people. If you looked back towards their school yearbooks, you researched them in the past, can we trace their genesis to understand were they ever real? I'm beginning to realize that a lot of these people, because, my mom always said to me, what's in it for them? They're old. She said, Gates is old, Soros is ancient, Kissinger is beyond ancient. The other one, Schwab's 82. I mean, what's in it for them at that age? But I'm beginning to think they are going to upload their personality, but I don't think they have a personality. They're going to upload their consciousness into the cloud, clone a new body, and then download themselves into the new body so that they continue to live forever. Well, good luck with that, guys. I just don't think that's going to work out. Again, it's against nature. There's only so far you can push nature before it bites back. And maybe that's why they're probably so shit scared to die, because of what they've been up to in their lives. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it as well. Okay, another thing, guys. Imagine having a smart tattoo. So your tattoos are monitoring you, tracking you. You have a smart tattoo. They're just talking more and more about crossing the boundaries of body and mind, and this hydrogel would definitely do that. And there are videos of people from DARPA and from the military talking in depth about the potentials for this hydrogel. They speak about monitoring your heart rate, monitoring your hormone level, and from monitoring your hormones, they can judge your mood. So they could potentially get a little signal to the G5 network. Oh, this person's feeling a bit angry. Maybe the police should pop by and just ensure they calm down. They're getting a bit angry. They might do something reckless, like a protest against the lovely government. There's all these potentials. But again, some of it, I think, from what I've seen with the AI that we already use, isn't that reliable, isn't that working that well. So this stuff probably isn't even going to happen. They're talking about sensors and also memory switches and circuits within gut bacteria. So they're going to recolonize our gut with these nanoparticles, which are going to work together. As I say, having these memory switches, forming circuits, smart dust computers with antenna. They are small, they are far, far smaller, these things, than a grain of sand, and they can organize themselves in the body, almost re-engineering you into synthetic biology. They're very keen on this. Everything has to be synthetic. They are playing God. Walk around your garden. Go to a garden center today and look at the perfection in nature. The beauty and wonder of flowers, plants, fruits. It's all around us, the perfection and beauty of nature. As the hymn that I was taught, very first thing I was taught to sing at school was All Things Bright and Beautiful. And one of the lines is, how great is the world, God has made all things well. And I think nature is perfection, and they are messing with perfection. There are so many morphogenic fields, the vibrational energies that create the symmetry, the harmony that we see all around us, and the beauty, the endless, boundless creativity. But these people just want everything to be some corrupted synthetic form of whatever, composing DNA. They're also, like I was saying about the court cases, there's the total possibility of implanting false memories into people's heads, But again, don't worry. It's all about value. You are just a cog in their wheel. As long as you're creating value for them, that's your function. And when you cease to do that, well, they don't really need you. Also talking about creating new animals and providing so that they can provide organs and pharmaceutical products to people. Guys, I just wonder, obviously the world's been here before. I think Atlantis is a good example of when human beings reached a certain level of intellectual and scientific arrogance. As I say, technological advancement and scientific advancement without the coinciding spiritual advancement can lead to disaster. And you can see by reading all this why it would lead to disaster. So I was kind of thinking back to Atlantis, and I thought of a cow and a sheep. Now, what did a cow evolve from? Because we look at cats, we can see, yeah, I mean, they're roughly related to tigers and lions in the wild. We look at dogs, they're roughly related to dingoes and wolves and whatever. What is the cow related to, and where's natural selection going on with a cow? It can't run fast. It's a very docile animal. It can't defend itself in any way. And look how useful it is. Every part of the cow is used, from the hooves, all the meat that comes from cows, the milk. And they almost like they were engineered to be food factories. And the same with sheep. You think of the wool, lamb, and they're also a very docile farmyard animal. Very easy to keep. Very easy for dogs to herd the sheep or whatever. I'm just wondering, in a previous sort of age or epoch, that the mad scientists created cows and sheep purely as animals, genetically engineered animals for human consumption. And then it just rang a bell when I was reading here in Klaus Schwab about creating new animals, this time so that the organs can be used for humans. But, there's other options as well. Designer babies. Look, there's no sanctity here. Nothing is sacred for these people. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing that they won't re-engineer for their own wicked satanic purposes. I strongly link all this to Aleister Crowley. Everything is backwards from what it should be. They talk of two classes of human emerging. You've got your cyborg superior, and then you've got the ordinary human beings who can't really compete, so you almost buy into their system, but they'll always be at a more advanced level. Made me think about all that mythology to do with the Greek gods up in the mountain. Maybe this was what was really going on. They were the cyborgs of the time. So just to close off, Klaus Schwab, also a great fan of Greta, and very woke, and basically wokeism is a stalking horse for this dystopian nightmare as outlined in this book, which, as I say, judging by the reviews, should we just take a brief look? You can have a look yourself, of course, but if we just have a brief look at these reviews, these 405 reviews. Like I say, just because it's got 5 stars doesn't mean people were liking it, but let's look at some of the 1-star reviews. Someone there calls it brainwashing. It says all the book is an attempt to guide the readers into believing that a reset is required. It boils down to their premise that life is 100% subjective and that you are not real, but you are in fact part of their projected reality. They mention there Klaus Schwab, Henry Kissinger, Bill Gates, the Rothschilds, as all the people in that circle, and they mention their private stakeholder societies. Yeah, someone says, yeah, this is nothing short of a real-life Dr. No Bond movie where psychopaths plan to dominate and take over the world. Absolutely. And then it says again, if you go to certain page, doesn't matter, one will quickly discover that the book was largely written by World Economic Forum's own subcontracted crew, one of which is the English historian Mary Ann Mallory, who nauseatingly browbeats you into the idea of historical comparisons, namely the Second World War, as a justification for calling forth this Great Reset. Someone else was mentioning there's also a white paper, a 30-page white paper out from the World Economic Forum about reset style stuff as well. And they were mentioning that of the 65 or so people that had contributed to that book, not one was elected. A lot of them are linked to a company called Mercer, involved in insurance, and Mercer alone controls something like 13 trillion in assets. It has access to the control over those. So I think we'll look into that organization at some stage. So there's nothing here about anyone who's elected at all. Yeah, so there you go. Look, another person says, tripe, awful prediction for the future of the human race, a delusional book. I think it's actually delusional. I think these people are delusional. I don't think this technology that they are talking about even exists. I think they're gaslighting us. That's why the Great Awakening is happening. What else have we got here? Yeah, nothing interesting there. Unconditional love will be the revolution, not this. Absolutely nothing more powerful than spirituality, unconditional love, and just being. The power of the human spirit is much more powerful than all their delusional garbage. He says Klaus Schwab needs to learn the difference between utopia and dystopia. Fair enough. World domination, evil. Yeah, I think that's the best word for it. And someone else says this is nothing more than propaganda for a new branding of the world order. And someone says I'd give it a -5 if it was possible. As you can see, the reviews go on and on and on. People aren't buying this. I do think that there's an increasingly great awakening going on. What's going on in America with the blatant stealing of the election is waking people up. So I think we'll actually leave on a happy note. Why don't we choose a better picture? No, that's my page. There you go. I think I'm going to change the screenshot to that. That was the end of Trump's rally in Georgia, striking a hopeful note. Let's be positive. Lots of positives coming out of that. Everyone's awake. Everyone's talking about the reset. Klaus Schwab. People are really all over this. I think the people who are mentally active, the people who are of activist mindset, the people who are spiritual are really awake to this. You only need about 3 people to be awake and active to change this, because a lot of people just don't count. A lot of people will do nothing. They'll just hide under their beds, hope it'll all go away. They'll be an ostrich. They won't either stand with us, but they won't stand against us. Most people will be in that camp. So the more and more people that are coming to our side and just knowing about this, it's creating a powerful momentum. Just wanted to add the nonsense about saying in the news, the little present they've got lined up for us this Christmas, the miracle cure, and they're telling us that certain people like Piers O'Mara, which is his real name, and Barack Hussein Obama, and now even the Queen, they're going to have it. She won't have it live on TV, but these other half-wits are going to have it live on TV, and that's meant to convince the most skeptical sector of society, because the fact that we are skeptical shows that we are already doing our research and thinking for ourselves, and they think that some childish gimmick of having these people injected live on air is going to convince the most skeptical of people. I mean, God, we're talking about TV. You can see talking dogs on TV. You can see, Batman. I saw David Copperfield make a Learjet disappear on TV, and I'm going to believe someone was injected with a vaccine. Well, unless David Icke injected him and the vial was immediately taken for super analysis by at least 100 independent people, well, then I might say, okay, well, they must have got it. But just seeing some charade on television, nothing is real on television, is it? Anyway, take care, guys, and hope you enjoyed those. And take care, look after yourself, and Merry Christmas, everyone. Early Merry Christmas to you all.